Hey, everyone, how's it going? What's happening?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just getting things rocking and rolling here. So cool. Just let everyone kind of jump in here. Just so I kind of have a idea of what's going on with. Has anyone used SEO Power Suite? Do you have it? Um, just so I can kind of get a gauge for kind of where we're at. Like either raise your hand, type it in the chat, whatever. Um,
Yes, I use it, but I haven't been using it right for 4 years.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Anyone else? Rank tracker and auditor, nothing fancy. Awesome. So
And
yeah,
just
one
as
of
a,
the
just as a side note, I just got an email this morning, 85% off tomorrow and
Yep.
Wednesday.
Exactly. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with people. In the past, when I've done a lot of the SEO Power Suite, like, hey, check this thing out. It's usually been at like either at or during the event. So I wanted to give everyone the opportunity. If you are interested in picking up the software, they're running a really killer deal. Usually they run it 2 to 3 times a year. Usually it's right around Black Friday, Christmas, and then usually one during the summer. Usually it's like June, July, typically. But in my opinion, it's one of the better, more flexible softwares. Like you don't need anything super fancy with it. There it's not without its own issues. The big ones that I tend to use though are going to be SEO Spyglass, Rank Tracker, and Website Auditor. Link Assistant, I really don't. I hate to say it, but I don't give a shit about that one. I don't do email outreach, and so that one's kind of a pointless software for me. I just haven't used it like in years. Probably worth revisiting, but just complete transparency, I don't typically use that software. What I do like though is with Website Auditor, you can get real quick spot checks. You can also get kind of background information on what's working on a site, what's not, keyword mapping, a lot of stuff like that. So yeah, the other thing that I tend to see a lot with people when they're doing SEO Power Suite is they try and approach it kind of like you would with like Ahrefs or SEMrush, where it's like, um, we're going to take our entire project and run the entire project. Power Suite can be a lot more granular than any of your other software. And because you're not limited to just a singular project file, you can do a lot more with it, right? So for example, I would have a client file or a client project that's kind of our or more broad strokes, typically what you would use any kind of rate tracker, website, auditing tool, stuff like that. But then we can get a lot more granular in our approach with it. And that's probably a good place to kind of just start jumping in and doing a demo with this here. All right. Okay. So one of the first things that I want to look at here, share screen, is you can, let's go. Let me know if you guys can see my screen okay.
We can see your desktop right now.
Good to go. Um, so you should just be seeing kind of a blank, desktop here. What I like with this though is, so in SEO Power Suite, let me just kind of shrink this down just a little bit, a little more manageable, so I can also see the chat. All right, cool. So the very first thing that I tend to do is I set these up on a virtual server. So whether you have like I use Guacamole, and that helps me hook into my various servers. There's a lot of different things that I would do there, but it allows me to not have the software on my computer. It's probably the biggest complaint that I hear people consistently look at. We'll have to reconnect that here in a second, but let's pause screen sharing here and I'll just reconnect. Basically what we can do there is I can set this up on a virtual server. That way it runs in the cloud, makes it a lot more similar or comparable to, say, SEMrush, Ahrefs, any of those particular kinds of web-based systems. And I don't have to worry about it being on my computer and eating up space there. So that's the first thing that I would do. The other thing is that you can also go in and we can, let's not look at that one. We're going to go into files. You can go to SEO Powersuite, or you can hit me up for this as well. But one of the things that I would typically recommend is install Website Auditor and Spyglass on one machine, Rank Track on another. And so what I've got here, let me just pause this real quick, get this resolved.
Why is that, Ryan?
Because Spyglass and Website Auditor, they're going to be more of like your auditing on-page kind of tools. Rank Tracker, I want to run separately on its own server, mainly because what I'm specifically looking for there, let's fetch from the cloud. Here we are. Okay. Let's resume. Main reason why I want to do that is because when I'm auditing a site or when I'm running link analysis on a site, those are kind of two tools that I want to have together. The rank tracking component, I want that to be a little bit more flexible. And depending on your level of license with Powersuite, you can set up these, with the enterprise one at least, which is what I would recommend going with, you can set up cloud events, right? And so what that looks like is we can go in here to your scheduler and alerts, and we can go back in there and we can actually like go in, take a look at like scheduled processes, turn those on and off. We can take a look at a lot of that stuff and kind of queue up my rank tracking, my audits, any of that kind of stuff. Rank tracking, I tend to run at a more frequent pace than I would say Website Auditor or the Link Assistant or the SEO Spyglass. So that's one of the first things that I would look at there. The other thing that I would look at here is when you've got proxies. So you can go into your proxy settings here or your safe settings here, and you're going to go through proxy rotation. One of the things that I really recommend there is I like a tool or a program called, what is it? It's Proxy Scrape. These guys are fantastic for SEO Powersuite type proxies. Now, what I like with Proxy Scrape is that I can go in here and I can get, we can go into like dedicated or premium proxies here. All right, we'll just go into dedicated proxies. And you're going to want to use this for, the dedicated ones are okay. For the scraping that we're going to be doing with Powersuite, it's not really necessary. You can go premium here. And we'll scroll down. I can get 1,000 proxies for $25 a month. Right. And so this makes it really cost effective to run a lot of the proxies on things like Website Auditor, Rank Tracker, Spyglass. For $25, I can have 1,000 proxies. And what we're going to do is we can jump in there. We can go into proxy rotation. As you can see, we have a bunch of other stuff going on here. Make sure you untick this use direct connection if no proxies are available. The way that Powersuite works is that it's a headless browser on your actual machine. So kind of like when a lot of the other rank tracking tools and stuff like that, they scrape your site, they're actually going to the site, they're grabbing it based on kind of a snapshot. Powersuite's a very similar thing, but it uses the actual internet connection in a headless browser. So you're able to actually like get up-to-date data, what the SERP actually looks like, as opposed to here's a snapshot SEMrush took 45 days ago that may be outdated. We can go in here with all the proxies. What you want to do is you can import them, and it goes in a specific format where it's going to be username, proxy, and then your proxy address. But what you want to do is you can click in here once, Control A to select all, and let's just check them, right? So you can see we don't have the 1,000 in here. Usually I use that on my rank tracker. Auditing, that you may want to do more premium proxies for that, because we don't want to do mass scraping with it. We're actually taking a little bit more time with it. But you can see I've got one dead proxy. This is always a good check to do before you start doing anything in Powersuite. Double check your proxies, make sure that they're live, that they're good. I'm guessing we have another 2, probably either slow or dead proxies on this. And the reason that we don't want to use those is because then it's just going to bog down the system and it's going to be a pain in the ass. We don't want that, right? So there we go. 3 dead. We're good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to untick those. Okay. Everything else is, and these ones I might want to untick as well. Those are pretty slow right now. I want to keep things moving pretty quick, right? So we're going to do that. The workflow that I tend to recommend, and Powersuite does this as well, is you're going to do website auditor, then you're going to go rank tracker, then you'll do spyglass. I do it a little bit out of sequence with that. I'm going to want to see website auditor and spyglass. Pop both those guys over here. Do this, refresh and refresh. We'll let those things refresh for a second. But that's some of the initial things that I would do. So do link analysis and website, and then we're going to take a look at rank tracking later on. When we're looking at this, a couple things that you're going to want to have, and I typically recommend this, having it in either a password manager or just a notepad on your desktop, but you're going to want to have your page speed insights key from Google, a Moz API, have your access to your search console, and then have access to your analytics. That's all going to come down to setting up your project. And the reason we're going to want to do that is we're just going to go, I don't know, what do we want to do for a specific business? Let's just look at maps. Let's go maps here. Google.com. Let's look at pizza restaurants. We'll look at pizza in Denver. Perfect. So we got a couple of these guys. Denver Pizza Company. Let's go audit them real quick. Great. So the very first thing that we want to look at whenever we're doing SEO power, or whenever we're setting up a project, this goes with SEO Powersuite or SEMrush, Ahrefs, doesn't matter what it is. You want to, like, I would recommend gathering as much of the information as you possibly can, throwing it into a spreadsheet. God knows I love those. But start grabbing as much of that information as you possibly can ahead of time. So some good tools for that. Denver Pizza Company. Let's take a look at them. So we've got that. Let's look at their business address and let's look at them on maps. So this is where tools like the Plepper tool are going to come in handy. You know, there's lots of different training on that kind of stuff here, but we may want to look at Broadway just to kind of narrow this down. Obviously, if you have multiple locations, use multiple locations. But really what I'm gathering here is I want to get all of the data that we've got on this particular business, right? Give a second. It's loading. Plepper should pop up here in a second. Maybe. Let's refresh that. Come on, Plepper. At any rate, the Plepper extension, typically you'll see it pop up right here, and it's going to give you a bunch of information: name, address, phone number, NAP, CID, et cetera, et cetera. Grab all that information.
Brian, hit the search on Denver Pizza Company, the down, and select the one with the actual address. Plepler will show up. Up top, go up a little bit to the search bar right there. Yep, click it. Click it, and then just do the one with the address. Plepler's gotten weird the past month.
Yeah. Access to the site.
Huh.
At any rate, if you're familiar with the Plepper tool, grab that information, throw all that into a spreadsheet. You're going to need it for later. whether it's for link building, whether it's for just reference on the client, anything like that. It's always good to just have that information readily at hand. Okay. Next thing that we're going to do here is, before we get started on anything else or even doing an audit, what I would recommend is go in here. You're going to want to grab your mod. I'm not going to pull this up because they don't obfuscate it, but you're gonna want to put in your Moz API settings here. Add that in here. Then there's also some your page speed settings. Once you actually have a project running, you're going to edit your page speed settings. You need to get that page speed insights key, and you're going to throw that right in there, right? The other one that we want to look at, let's look at miscellaneous settings here. If you want, you can put in any of this other stuff. If you have company profile, this always just makes your reports look a little nicer, but you can go in here, you can add in your contact information, put in a logo, do any of that kind of stuff right there, right? Search safety settings, proxies, scheduled tasks, stop words. Those are the big ones that I tend to look at. The other one that I look at here is, once we have the proxies in there, you can actually raise the number of simultaneous tasks that you're running. At 1,000 proxies, usually I'll run about anywhere from 7 to 10 tasks concurrently. You can push that a little bit more. Just make sure that when you're doing that, that you've got the like on the search safety settings, and we're doing this, make sure you untick that button using direct connection. That will, if you don't untick this and you're using your direct connection, you can potentially burn your IP address, which then you're in the penalty box for up to 48 hours. You can't do shit with the software, right? So that's a really critical thing to look at. When we look at Denver Pizza Company, a couple things that I want to look at here, right? So we've got their homepage, Denver Pizza Company. Let's pop this guy right back in here. Okay. So I usually connect this enable expert options. We're going to click next and follow instructions for Googlebot or Googlebot Mobile. We're typically mobile, mobile first indexing. So that's usually the one I'm going to go with. So we're going to follow the instructions for that. You can also crawl it as a specific user agent, typically Googlebot Mobile, right? Or Googlebot. We want to look at any of those, right? You can change that. That can potentially, I know JP does a lot with client-side rendering and server-side rendering. And so that's something to potentially look at here, guys. That you can crawl this as different, you can crawl it as different bots or different user agents, and that can potentially show you other things there as well. Occasionally, depending on if I'm doing a full-on audit or if it's just kind of a quick spot check, you can turn this on or off. Again, the big thing to look at here when it comes to SEO Powersuite is it's kind of like a piece of paper, right? We can draw a picture with it. We can make a paper airplane. We could roll up spitbods with it, do whatever. But the idea is, it's what are you actually trying to get from the software? What is the actual task that you're trying to accomplish, right? So if I'm looking for orphan pages, this is like my full audit. If I'm doing a secondary project file on like something that I'm just looking for, what pages are live, I may untick that. All right. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to untick that because it'll take a little bit here. Next thing is in filtering. Again, similar to stuff like this. If I'm just doing a quick spot check, I may do this. WordPress has a nasty habit of doing queries. So I may put in don't scan the pages with the following question mark. I don't care about the queries in particular scans. If I'm doing a full scan, absolutely. Let's do that. But for this case, don't really care about that. Depending on the site, I may untick or tick this. Again, this is full audit right here. But if I'm just looking at what's in Google, or, and let's say I'm auditing the live pages on a website, I may not care about JavaScript. I may not care about CSS. Those are W3C compliance and just kind of like overall web, like technical web stuff. I may not give a shit about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to untick that. We'll speed this thing along, right? Speed, you can rate limit this. JavaScript, I may or may not, if it's a JS site, I'm going to tick that. Let's execute the JavaScript, see what's going on, right? URL parameters, that I usually leave alone. And then here, I'm not normally, I normally don't crawl password protected sites. It's just not something that I'm wanting to do right now. But this is also another really interesting thing. I see a lot of guys that are leveraging subdomains. I can crawl those with this particular thing or untick it, depending on what the purpose of my audit is. Right? Does that make sense so far, guys? Thumbs up, hopefully. Feel free to chime in if you have questions too. Right? We're going to finish this and it's going to go do its thing. The other benefit of doing this on a server or having Spyglass and Website Auditor on the same thing, we can get started on the website audit here, and you can see it's almost already done with the HTML pages. There's not a whole lot going on there, but there's, yeah, only one page that it found. All right, so we're going to keep moving on here. We can go into Spyglass, do something similar to it, and then we can also go into Rank Tracker and do something similar with that as well. Right, let's refresh this. You get logged in. Great. Okay, so Spyglass, something similar here. We're going to want to have those page speed insights. We're going to want to have all those things readily available on our desktop, right? So again, that's where a lot of these kinds of like preliminaries, this preliminary information is really going to help us out, right? And let's stop. 1 second. Stop. And let's clear that. Give me 1 second. Okay, so let's go File, New Project. We're going to have Denver Pizza Company. If we want, we can do expert mode. Usually it doesn't hurt. Obviously, have access to analytics and Google Search Console. You're going to get better data out of that. Inherently, Powersuite probably has one of the lower backlink databases out there. That said, what I would recommend in doing with Powersuite, the interface isn't bad. I don't mind this, but what I would do here is I'm going to leverage data for SEO. It's also something that I'm going to bring up to the Powersuite team that it might be, beneficial to be able to tie into that for additional data. I don't know if they're going to do anything with it, but in the meantime, this is just a workaround that I found works well, right? So we can go in here, we can go into data for SEO. Pretty easy to get this stuff set up. We have API access. And what you'll see in here is I have like $150. And so what you're paying for there is we've got the payments. You have to get it's $100 a month for the backlink API access, right? You don't need to constantly use this unless you're really doing a lot of backlink stuff. $100 for that, but then that gives you like access to their back end. Then you have your $50 or whatever one-time payment for their API access, right? So this is versatile in the regard that like I can pull a lot of different backlink information based on this. So we can go in here to backlinks, summary, history, anchors, like pretty much anything that you would want, right? If you're developer savvy, you can also pop into the different API connections and do things with like Make, Zapier, stuff like that, so that it automatically pulls that, creates a CSV, and then you can drop that right here into Powersuite via the file, import backlink data from CSV, right? And then this is probably one of the things that I really do like with Powersuite as well, is that if I have information or data, whether it's like say in my rank tracker, if I'm moving from SEMrush or Ahrefs or Search Atlas or wherever else, and I have historical data that I can get into CSV, I can, in any one of the SEO Powersuite softwares, I can go in to the import file, import, and I can import that data into this via CSV, right? So that's definitely a huge bonus there as well. Let's clean this out. They have a lot of updates. So we'll just kind of do that. Blah, blah, blah. All right. We'll let that be. Rank tracker. Oops. Here we are here. Come on. Close out of this. 1 second. Come on. Give me 1 second here. We're going to have to restart this server on this one. At any rate, rank tracker, one of the nice things with that, while this is getting restarted here, is that with rank tracker, I'm able to not just target my site, but again, like it gives me the flexibility that if I wanted to target competitors, I can put in competitor sites. Or in the instance of, let's say I have a PBN, or let's say I've got other stuff like that, that I may want to track multiple locations, I can go in, I can track them not just as alternate URLs, but I could potentially track them as competitors. So let's say I have 4 or 5 PBN sites, mini-net sites, whatever you want to call it, stuff that I own, and I want to see how they compare, how they track with one another. What I can do is I can go in and restart this server. This one's being a pain in the butt. What I can do is I can go in and track each one of those specific sites and track them against each other to just kind of see how well they perform, what's going on, and if there's anything weird or if I'm running tests, it's another thing that we can do, right? So while that's restarting, let's jump back over into so Denver Pizza Company, it didn't really see anything there. Being that it ran into some issues there, this is where I might go back in and say, okay, so maybe it's a JS site. Obviously, look at what's going on there ahead of time. Let's kill that. Run the analysis, page content, and that works here. Okay, so we'll finish that up. See what it's got here. What may also be happening is this may be really crappy on a mobile phone. So if that's the case, being that we're using the Googlebot like phone agent, yeah, they're restricting us from indexing. Let's take a look at what's going on here. So they're restricting that one from indexing. Interesting. Okay. So what we may want to do is let's go rebuild that and look at our crawler settings, right? So we can go in here, we can look at crawler settings. Let's just look at Googlebot and just crawl it. Rebuild the project. Do that, that's fine. Good to go. Let's crawl it. All right. So the next thing that I would look at here with the website auditor component, and I'm guessing I'm guessing they have this blocked. Still, yeah. Disallowed, no index meta tag. So that's probably something I would even hit them up about, be like, hey, yo, guys, you got problems. You're not allowing, not allowing stuff. Or it may be on purpose, right? They may be saying, hey, we don't want people to be seeing what we're doing, right? We can potentially crawl the page audit. Now, with Website Auditor, one of the other things that I like doing here is we can go and we can do keyword map. This is where importing it from the cloud from Rank Tracker is helpful, or you can go in with your import CSV, right? We can go through a keyword map. We can do all of that. Let's find one that actually works a little better than Denver Pizza here. Let's look at Blue Pan here. We'll use them as a competitor even. So let's go here. Blue Pan Denver, grab this, pop this right back over here. Let's new project, grab that. Here we are. Right. Let's search for orphan pages. Let's find there. Speed, good. Let's do that, and we'll allow cookies. Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. So we can do that. Visualization, this is also just a real quick way here on your auditor to get an idea of what the page actually looks like. We can also identify any kind of any kind of orphan issues, things like that, or spot stuff that maybe they're hiding stuff like orphan pages that they're driving CTR traffic to. It's a really quick and easy way for us to spot that. Because they're not going to be necessarily linking to it directly from the menu or something that might be immediately obvious, but it's just one metric or one thing that we would tend to take a look at and kind of look at, right? So that's one of them. All resources here, if we're looking at this also goes over more of your technicals. You can look at that if really necessary. The other thing that I would recommend looking at here is you can right click on any of this stuff up here in your header menu. And what a lot of people don't know is that you can toggle this stuff on and off as necessary. So one of the things I like here is the notes. Obviously, like moving to GA4 over regular Google Analytics, annotating stuff that you're doing on the site can be a little bit more challenging. This is kind of how we handle it. We'll go in here, we'll toggle this notes section on. That's going to give us our notes. And so I can go in and say like, yeah, updated this on such and such date, anything like that. All right. Right click on that. We can see entrance dates, redirect URLs, other information here. Just for the sake of keeping stuff nice and clean, I'll either toggle stuff on or off. Doesn't mean that it deletes the information, it just hides it from being able to be viewed. All right. Let's see if this is almost done here. We're going to hustle this thing along real quick, so we're not just waiting on it. All right. So as you can see, this is kind of what their site looks like. It didn't do the full crawl, but I can see that they have, this is kind of like a link wheel almost right here. You'll see that. They have hub and spoke type stuff. So this is going to be their blog. They've got other blogs that are connected to it right there. Yeah, this is kind of a link chain that they're doing there. We can actually look into what it is. So Simpleton. Okay, so this is just pagination right here, and you can see that when we hover over page 6, page 5, 4, right? And so that's all going to go back up to 100 best Denver restaurants right there that they're showing. Big thing that I tend to look at on this one is I want to look for any kind of red. That's an error page, 404 page or 400 page, 500 page, any kind of error. They don't have anything like that, but we do have a couple of redirects. So those are what I tend to look at. The other thing to look at here is going to be your internal page rank. You need to connect your Search Console and analytics for this to work properly. But what this will look at is what are the pages that are getting the most traffic and what the estimated internal page rank for each one of these particular nodes are. So obviously primary pages, these secondary ones aren't getting shit. So we've got that. And then also we can look at page views. Again, we need to have Google Analytics hooked up to this, but this will also give us kind of a visual on where people are hitting on the website in a visual sense. All right. I'm seeing a bunch. Let me just look at the chat here. Yeah, SEO utils is also really good there, Chris. Just browsing over the chat here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Awesome. Cool. So the reason I use proxies, Dan, is yeah, I see that, Terry. The reason I use proxies is if you don't and you're using like let's say we go here into our preferences. If I'm running multiple tasks just to kind of speed stuff along and you're not using proxies, what's going to happen is you're going to burn your IP address. Remember, I was saying that this actually uses a headless browser. So what it does is it essentially opens up a browser on this particular machine. And then what it does is it opens up a browser, it does the search for you, and then it gathers the data based on that. So if you're not using a proxy, what'll happen is that it actually will burn your IP. Think about it like running multiple searches on your home machine, and Google will start saying like, "Hey, are you a human?" If you continue to push it beyond that, it starts recognizing it as a spam signal. It'll burn your IP address, and yeah, you can use the same proxies, Terry. That's not an issue. The reason that I tend to use proxy scrape is because for dedicated or like the proxies that I'm using for SEO Powersuite, it's $25 for 1,000, right? That's really, really cheap. For other software like Neo, I would probably use mobile proxies, or I would use something maybe a little higher quality. This, I'm scraping the internet, right? So super, super simple. There we are for the people that are drawing on the presentation here. Safe query mode for the rank tracker. Yeah, you can use safe query mode. It's just it takes a while. And what I like to do is like so safe query mode, what that is if you go in here, you go to search safe and you go safe query, it allows to collect search engine data in this, right? So you can use this, but I want to typically like blast through a project really quick. I'm also running, like I said, anywhere from 10 plus concurrent requests from the software. And so when I'm doing that, what I specifically want to look at is like, how fast can we get through this? I don't want to be waiting around on audits and stuff like that. Okay, let me grab something here real quick. Cancel. Let's get into rank tracker. Come on. Yep, not a problem, man. Let me just close out any of these old projects, close out all projects. Okay, cool. All right. So this is a rank tracker. This is between website auditor and this one, these are the two softwares that I'm in most common. So like, let's take a look at Blue Pan Pizza. We're gonna just drop them right in here. We can enable expert options if we want. We'll just go through that and I'll kind of do a quick rundown. Connect Search Console or Analytics. Don't have that for the site. So moving on. Right. I really don't care about their, I mean, if they rank for their name, awesome. And I found that Charles, you get a kick out of this. I found some of the enterprise clients that I was talking to a couple weeks back in San Diego, like they care about ranking for, you know, just their website or just their name. You can throw that in here, right? Blue Pan Pizza. Right? We can do something like that. Denver. I'm surprised at how many enterprise clients, though, like they pay an exorbitant amount of money to just rank for their name. It's crazy. Pizza, Denver. Right?
Brand rankings always impress people in enterprise, and I do not know why.
I know it's crazy. Like I heard one client saying like they were paying, it was like mid five figures to rank for their name. I was like, dude, for local, that's like week 2. By week 2, if we're not ranking for that, like we got problems.
Oh no, it takes at least 12 months, and then there's ongoing maintenance required.
That's crazy. So crazy to me. Um, and then yeah, we may do like brand plus location, right? So we're gonna jump in here. Now, one of the nice things that I do like about this rank tracking software is we have the option to look at different search engines. So if we wanted to, Bing, for some reason, I think the Powersuite team has been looking at this. In another group, someone had mentioned that like Bing doesn't work quite like it should. So you can use Yahoo. It's the same search engine rendering essentially. You can turn that on and off. Again, the big thing to note with SEO Powersuite is that this is flexible. So if I wanted to run full ranking kind of stuff, yeah, Bing hangs horribly when it's scraping. So I would just use Yahoo if you're looking at like Bing results. One of the things that I tend to look at here is that we want to modify any of these searches here. So we can remove this. If I'm doing a full client thing, I may have multiple search engines here just for the reporting end of things. If it's just, hey, I'm looking to see what's going on with a SERP or what maybe, you know, what's going on, what's happening in a particular feature, maybe mobile, I'm going to add that in and I can add in customs. So rather than just by default, just adding stuff in, what I look at here is, if I wanted to look at like, what's this look like on a phone or what's this look like on maps, instead of just adding it in there, I'm going to throw in the specific location, right? So what we're going to look at is we might want to go 80212 or 80206, right? What we can do is we can grab that, throw this right in here, apply. There we go. So we're actually targeting zip code now for map ranking, right? And so that's going to be just Denver. We can even say, you know, this is the, 80212 Denver area. G maps, 80212, right? And so now we can see what that looks like on Google Maps at that particular location. Same thing with mobile. We can see if someone's searching for mobile, 80212. Great. There we go. Nice. Awesome. So we'll just close out of that real quick.
Brian, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you use rank checking mode? Do you set some preferences there?
I do.
underneath?
Yeah. So in the rank
That's some
checking
good
mode,
stuff there.
Yep. One of the things that I do with this is I will click record SERP history.
Yes.
Depending on what we're doing, I normally like doing successive. It's going to be a little more accurate, as opposed to doing minimum queries. This is going to do, like 10 results per page, or 100 results per page, stuff like that. I've found that that doesn't work quite as well, and especially if I've got the multiple proxies in here, I don't have to worry about it taking quite as long. But this is definitely something, as we're kind of going through the preferences on this, recording SERP history, definitely something I want. I may also, depending on what I'm doing, is I may track multiple results for a keyword. Now, this will increase the amount of time that it takes for you to actually like do the rank check on it, but it also helps you kind of spot cannibalization, right? If that's, let's say I'm running an audit on, I want to see if we're competing with ourselves, if we've got cannibalization going on, we can throw all that in there. Tags, this is another one. In any one of the Powersuite tools, you can also add tags. So if I add in specific things, like let's say we brought in SEMrush data, I can throw that in there. If it's client, like top priority for client, right? Priority. So I can tag this. What that's going to allow me to do is I can then set up filters saying, I only want to see the things that are top priority for clients. Oftentimes what I find with clients, and Charles's point, there's a lot of vanity metrics often that we'll run into with when it comes to clients. Like they want to rank for, some really obscure term. I really don't, it doesn't drive traffic, that like, we don't give a shit about it, but it's something that really, really matters to the client. In that case, what I'll do is I'll put in these tags here. That way I can just keep tabs on it and filter it based on whatever those tags specifically are, right?
Yeah.
So that's another feature there. Again, events, we can add this in. We can say, December 9th, you know, right? Throw that in there. If this is on the state, we can put that in and just annotate it so that it shows up on specific places, right? Preferred search engines, good to go there. Again, SEO PPC data, we're going to stick in the US typically, but we can also go into like competitors, other stuff like that as well. Page speed settings. So this is where, again, once you've run one instance, you're going to want to go and grab your page speed insights API, throw it right in here. And that's going to help take a look at, it's going to help pull back information specific to the SERP. So how competitive is the SERP? What's, who's dominating it, what their page speed looks like. There's a lot of other data that we can get specifically from just having that in here when we're running reports, right? I'm going to go grab my API key and I'll pop that in just so you can see real quick. Second.
Brian, there might be a more elegant solution, but I've noticed that if a keyword, a search term ranks in the maps, it'll typically show, up in the top spot. And
Yep.
if you have track multiple results for keyword checked, not only will you see that that maps, but if you click on the dots, you can it also shows where they're ranking organically, because they might be ranking, number 2 in the maps, but they might be ranking number 14 organically. And they don't have any great reporting around some of that, at least not that I've found. And another thing, as far as the reporting is concerned, the record SERP history is really cool, because if you have, let's say you do a weekly rank check, and it'll show a history, over time, and in the columns down at the bottom, just where the different ranks are, and it shows where they are for that given rank period versus the competition, and if the competition is moving up or down. Because if you click on one of the competitors, it highlights them all within the history, but they don't have a good report for that. But that'd be a really slick report that clients would love to see.
Yeah,
but
100%.
still
And
really
so
good
what you're
information.
talking about is, give me 1 second. It's updating the my API key in there. What you're talking about is this right in here, where on your tracked keywords, if we had let's say we had multiple, searches in here, we can drag this guy up. We can actually see what's that look like on Google Maps, 802.12 versus Google Mobile. So we can actually look at that. It'll give us what this looks like. It'll show us our progress. It'll also give us a more tabulated ranking history, any of the SERP details. So this will actually, it's so
And
running
that's a
the
really
report on
slick
this.
view right there. That's a great view.
Yeah, and
Once
this
you have
one do is it'll give us the what's actually going on in the SERP, how volatile the SERP has been,
Yeah.
whether we're seeing stuff kind of like bounce all over the place. You can also get this visibility report. This is essentially your share of voice for a particular um SERP, right? We'll get
One of the things that's interesting with the enterprise clients and the SERP details where you can see the history of where they might be ranking for their brand name. They can
Yep.
also see underneath SERP details, who else might be ranking. Is it just their site, their family of sites that's ranking for the brand name, or is
Yep.
any of the competition snuck in there? And they probably would know that they're a strong competitor and want to fight them off just because of vanity when it doesn't really make any difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then, yeah, keyword difficulty. We can go in, we can take a look at that. Let's just kind of kick this stuff through real quick. So it's reading page 1. We're just going to kick this out. Domain strength, we don't care about that. Or the thumbnail just for now. Let's just grab this. It's fine.
Yeah, and some of those views don't resolve unless the search finishes. So what you're
Yep.
doing will help.
Exactly. So when we say, yeah, when we've got this, it's probably going to throw some weird stuff in here if it's not resolved, but there we go. So we're in local pack. Here we have some site links. They've got reviews on any of these right here for the mobile. But as we're going through here, the other thing that we can do, and if you guys are in the Freak in the Sheets training that I've done, we can also go in here with the rank tracker. And if we wanted to look at keyword research, one of the things I like doing here is we'll go into the sandbox. And what I like doing here, just to see if any of that stuff, like if it has any kind of search data, what I'll do is I'll go in here, we'll go into the Freak in the Sheets thing. We can go into, like I said, the topic worksheet. Let's get out of legal marketing. Let's go Detroit style pizza, whatever that is. Detroit pizza. I know what it is, Garen. I actually have had it. It's all right. Pretty decent. I like New York style better, but let's go ahead and grab this. Give it a second while this loads up. But once we have all of these particular keywords here, what we can do is we can then drop that back over into our rank tracker right here and check what the volume on any of those keywords kind of looks like. So let's grab, gonna fart out on me. Let's refresh this one. There we go. Ah, back.
Brian, this is something you built.
Yeah.
Can you,
So I did a training on this.
is it a product you have a link to?
Yeah, I can send that out on the replay for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a whole training and thing behind this. Let's grab this. We just want to grab those keywords. Give a second. There we are. I'm going to clean this up in a notepad real quick. And what we can do is we can go back in here, add keywords. And what we might want to do is Just add that in. 2024, 1209. Check that. There we go. I'm gonna reconnect this here. Give me 1 second. Go. And then what we can do, the filters are also really helpful to use. So what we want to do is we can say, you know, it's got a tag, and then the tag is Detroit style pizza. There we go. We're going to filter that. And so those keywords that we threw in right here, these actually do have search volume, right? So we can go back here. We can see what the search volume looks like. There's a lot, obviously, stuff that's going to fall off. But if I'm doing a audit for a client or anything like that, or if we're doing content like a gap analysis, I may look at this, right? Estimated based on this. And again, this is national, it's not localized search, but we can go in here, we can see what the searches look like, expected visits, what the competition looks like, any of our CPC data. So this has actually eliminated a lot of need for us to go to things like SEMrush. I can get a lot of that data right here. And then also pulling it directly from GSC and Google Analytics. So that's kind of what I would look at here. Keyword planner, again, this is we'll go top to bottom here. We can take a look at the individual site, right? So if we want to go desktop versus mobile, organic, local pack, any of that kind of stuff, we can go here into Blue Pan Pizza, grab this. Let's see what they rank for. Let's look at local pack, right? Domain and subdomains. Let's search. Grab that out of queue. Nope. Let's actually kill that because it's looking at keyword difficulty on those things. I'm just gonna grab this, be a lot quicker. Okay, so Pizza Denver, that's what they rank for right there. Right, let's go in, let's take a look at organic, do a search on that one. All the stuff that they rank for currently. And then if we want to, ooh, that's fun. I guess we can take a look at what's going on with
Funny.
yeah, that's really interesting. Okay, so they have blue truck balls. Let's actually close out some of this stuff here.
What do you think? Negative attack or no? Some of those characters are.
No, this one I'm guessing it just got like in with a bunch of spam. What's interesting, I bet you they're doing some my guess is that they've got either a PBN hooked into this. I've seen this on a couple occasions, but basically what it is, it's like it's almost like a link exchange, or potentially that they're hacked, right? But if we start going through here and we're like, oh, well, you rank for, you know, number wheel, Pizzana menu, and maybe crust pizza Box Hill, okay, that makes sense. Quality dispensary, Brooklyn, Michigan, right? That starts to feel a little bit more like either hacked niche edits or potentially you're involved in like a link exchange and they're hiding shit on the page. We're seeing a lot of dispensaries, pharma. Okay, yeah, Detroit Pizza. Right, let's even do it. Maybe they're partnering with dispensaries. I don't know, but it's really interesting that they're ranking for dispensaries, Michigan, a lot of stuff here. I can see that, you know, with Detroit style pizza that you would pull some Michigan terms, but to having like cheap dispensary, best dispensary, stuff like that, That seems more intentional. So yeah, that would definitely be a red flag for me. I'd want to go in, take a look at that a little bit more and see what's going on, right? We can filter that. Any of these filters, you can also go in, you can do Boolean, multiple, if less than, more than, or and statements, stuff like that. And what I tend to look at here is, let's even 80-20 this, right? I just want to see what actually drives traffic. It's got to be more than, and we'll say, in a smaller location like this, I'd even go 100 searches per month. There we go. That's what we rank for on that one. Right? Pan pizza near me, probably want to track that. So I'm tracking that one. Weird crunchy granolas. Sure. We'll track that. Track that. Track that. Now, if we go back up here to the rank tracking, you're going to see that all of that stuff is in here now. Vegan pizza, pan, so on and so forth. Right? What other questions do you guys have on this that I might be able to help answer for you?
Is there any way to get?
One other thing, you can also cluster this. Let me show you that real quick. So if we're in the sandbox, this is really kind of cool. So again, website auditor, Spyglass, keep that on one server. Rank tracker, keep that on another one. What I like with this here is if we want, we can select all. So I'm just Control A, right click. And what I can do is we can actually start to group them. So we want to, oops. That's not what I'm looking for. We want to do all keywords, and then where's my grouper? Ungrouped. Regroup by topic. So we can take all of our keywords here, or we can go into uncategorize, regroup by topic. We can look at the semantic similarity. We can go medium, or high or whatever. Group them by semantics, and there we go. So anything that has to do with bake, anything that has to do with, beer, Box Hill, right? So let's look at this. I think we have a filter or something on there. Yeah, that's why. They're all. There we are. So cheap dispensary. There we go. Right, keyword sandbox. Buy an apron. Blue line. So if we want, we can even take any of these guys, regroup them by topic. Let's actually go high semantic similarity. There we go. Food trucks for sale near Aurora, slot machines for restaurants. They got some weird shit going on here. But I can really quickly go into these particular clusters. So beyond what we're clustering this in, we can go back into this cluster and drill into it a little bit more. So if we wanted to target specific things, we can do that. The one thing that we can do, so we can potentially track this stuff. The one thing that is not great about the clusters here, and I really wish that Powersuite would do this, is that being able to export all as groups, right? And that's something where you've got to go into each one of these and be like, okay, we're going to do that. Then we're going to export here. We're going to go into the next one. We're going to export that, or copy them, do whatever we need to. It'd be nice to actually get a folder with all of the keywords in individual, CSVs or whatever, something like that. Right? Competitor research. This is also another one that I like here. You can either go domain, topic, top pages, topic competitors, pizza, Denver, Detroit style pizza.
Hey, Brian, quick question on this.
Yep.
Is the only way to localize the rank tracking by adding the geographic keywords, or is there a way to localize like a generic service term?
So that's going to be up in your search settings, where we go record search engines. This is all localized to Denver.
Got it. Okay.
And then,
Cool.
so what I could potentially do is, let's say we wanted to look at, Google Mobile, right? And then we go back to 80206, right?
Okay.
Oops, we'll actually grab this 80206. Localize the search for that preferred location. Right, and so you can also get really granular. I click that apply again. And what this is doing here is it's trying to put me at this particular location, right?
Okay. So you can almost track it down to like a node level.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. And what's nice there is that then I can go into, I know one of the things that JP has mentioned in the past is like a lot of rank trackers are kind of calculating it incorrectly because they're going, on a typical rank tracker, you're taking the average of each one of those little pins that you have on there. And it's not like the most accurate way to track what's actually going on in a market. What this is going to do is it's going to go more at either geo, like a specific location, or it's going to look at this particular zip code and say, in this general area, how well do you rank in that particular place? So, but yeah, you can get super granular with this, and then this is where I may have multiple projects open for even the same client, right? Let's say I've got one project and I'm tracking 80212. I'm going to do the entire SERP history on that and just run that one periodically and just run it on that particular location. I may be interested in 80206. I may be interested in saying, okay, well, what happens when we get outside of Denver and we start looking at like Colorado Springs or Fort Collins or, places that we're trying to expand proximity. I might want to track that instead. So I can go in, I can adjust what those specific geographic settings look like and base my search off of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fiddle around through it a little more, but yeah, no, it totally makes sense.
Cool.
Brian,
yeah,
can you
here-
go back to your rank tracking?
What's that?
Can you go back to your rank tracking where you have your keywords?
Yeah.
What I was trying to say earlier and didn't say it very well, when you see that very top one there that says Google rank and it says, one and then parentheses one, that's because that
Yeah.
result right there, it's ranking top in the rank pack, which map pack, which is also ranking above the organic. If you have multiple keywords enabled, there'll be little, dots there. And if you click on those dots, not only will it show you that result, it also shows you where that same keyword would rank organically for them. And that was
Gotcha.
just
So-
what I was trying to share earlier.
Yeah. So rank checking mode, multiple results, we'll do that, do this. And what you can also do is you can also check rankings on specific, instead of having to go through and rank check everything. This is also really nice with Powersuite. You can go in here, we can check the rankings on just that one keyword, right? Or let's say we wanted to check rankings on just this keyword, right? It's going to go back through there, reading the page. Give it a second here.
And that geo targeting that you were showing just a few minutes ago, if
Yeah.
you have a client that's in, you're in Denver, you have a client in Dallas, you can set it up so you're also searching from
That's
your own
exactly it.
location, but also from Dallas, because that's what the client would see if they were doing it manually, probably.
Exactly. So it gets into a little bit more of like the rank volatility, where if I want something super like targeted, you're exactly right. I may not see the same things that they would in Dallas or Fort Worth or something like that. I want to be able to show them, yes, this is actually how you rank in your local community. So I can go through there and take a look at that. This is almost done here. But yeah, and you can see here we are. Here's this particular location. Here's how they rank in mobile on this one. We'll see if they have anything in 802.12 on maps. Right. But what I really like about the software is that I can get really granular, and I can run specific like one-off tests or one-off tracking on stuff a lot more effectively than just saying like SEMrush, show me in Colorado, right? That's where I think the for me the real benefit of having this tool comes in. So, and then also, yeah, we can look at the SERP analysis. Here's what this looks like. So let's look at, Google Maps here. Pizza near me. We can analyze the SERP. This is why you need to have that page speed insights API. It'll allow you to do this here. Put that in queue. Let's have this one here. Let me check my proxies real quick too.
Can you explain again? I tend to use their enterprise proxy,
Yep.
so everything's offloaded. You tend to use it, directly on the site here on your server. What was the reasoning again?
So I use proxy rotation through this. You can also throw a proxy on the actual server itself. The reason that I do that is because you want to make sure you're not burning the proxy or burning your
Well, I'm
IP
sorry,
address.
let me say it differently. I agree with what you just said.
Yeah.
I use their proxy setting, so I don't have any proxies at all. I'm not doing anything directly from my
Yep.
my VPS. It's actually using SEO Powersuite's servers to do the
Yep.
searches.
Yeah, so the reason I do that is because when we actually go in here to miscellaneous settings, I think I have it. Yeah, we have it 10. I can crank this thing up to like 20 threads on this. I'll have to restart the software to get this thing to work. But what that allows me to do is I can then run 20 concurrent tasks, as opposed to like right now, it's kind of, doing up to 10 in a row, like 10 at the same time, or different subtasks. I can crank that up with more proxies. I can crank it up to multiple concurrent tasks. That way, like I can run 20 things at the same time, 50 things at the same time, and it just blasts through the analysis. Give me a second once this, well, let's just do this here since we're kind of waiting on it. Keywords. It's going to read the page here real quick. And then what I'll do is I'll ramp up that like with the proxies, I'll run like 50 tasks. We'll just do that. I'll run 50 tasks at one time. Here, give me 1 second. They don't recommend this. And let me put it that way too. They don't recommend it because most people aren't running proxies like that. But what happens, let me just pause this and restart here real quick. So stop. And let me restart this guy here. All right. Make sure we're good.
That might have been an in the weeds question, but I was
No,
curious.
you're good. Hopefully this is giving you guys at least kind of a top level thing. I'll probably go a little deeper in depth on another training with this, but hopefully this gives you a couple other things to look at with how to use SEO Powersuite, and kind of some different ways that I would approach it, as opposed to just like we're just going to run rank tracking on it, right? So let's do that. I need to restart the software here because it's only showing 20 still.
Yeah, I've been using it for 3 or 4 years and just love it.
Yeah, no, it's been a mainstay in my tech stack for about 15 plus years. Um it's just its flexibility is really one of the things that I like with it. Miscellaneous global.
I probably need to correct myself. It's been longer than that. It was pre-COVID. It just times flies.
Right? Cool. I'm just gonna keep it at 20 here. And so we'll run 20 proxies. We've got 20 concurrent tasks. And then so if I wanted to do like a SERP analysis, let's just do this. There we go.
Do you tend to schedule most of your reports, or you tend to do a lot of manual
I schedule.
research because you
Yeah,
get
yeah, no, I
granular?
schedule them out. The reason that I like the scheduler too is because I can have this, and again, the reason why I also put it on a server that I can then remote into is I come into the office on Monday morning, like today, and with your reports, on the enterprise version of PowerSuite, it'll actually shoot you an email with like, here's what's going on with your here's what's going on with the website audit, here's your rank tracker, here's the link analysis. And so I get an email every Monday morning is how I have it scheduled out. I come into, my office or, here at home or wherever, and like either me or my team, I can just I can CC them on the email. And what ends up happening is like they already know what to do. Hey, we have these errors that just popped up in the last week since we ran it. Go clean them up. We dropped on these particular rankings. Go take a look at what's going on with that. So it's a way for us to automate a lot of that. The kind of reporting side of things, the preliminary things that I may need to look at. And yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I would automate a lot of that just in your scheduler and alerts right here. So like with anything, when it comes to, especially to local and maps, make sure that when you are setting your reporting or when you're pulling the data for your reports, make sure it's during peak business hours or during business hours at some point. Your reports are going to look a lot better as opposed to trying to run the report at like 3 o'clock in the morning, right? In particular for rank tracking, like your website auditor, run that whenever. That's not really going to matter. But yeah, for any of this stuff here, looks like we're hanging up on something. Reading the page. Pizza near me on Google Maps. It's reading it. We'll just stop this guy and add.
Hey, Brian, for the proxies, would you, if you did like that 1,000 as an example for 25, would you want to like split 500 and 500 across the different tools, or would you load them all?
Nope, I just blast them all in there.
Okay.
Throw them all in there, you'll be fine. Because there, as long as you're not going like super, super aggressive, you know, 1,000 proxies, you're going to be okay with that. Let me just go take a look at these proxies here and make sure everything's running right. I think this is probably why it's kind of farting out here. We may have a couple that are dead. And if they're dead, then I just reach out to their support and be like, hey, I need to get a new set of proxies. Yeah, it's totally what's going on. Yeah, that's what's going on. I'll have to reach out to their support and just get a new set. So I don't think I've rotated these ones out in a few months. But yeah, that's all it is. You just go in there. Here we are. Yeah, see, that's why this thing's being really slow right now. We've got 20 dead proxies. It's already checked. But go ask their support, get a new set of proxies. It'll keep this thing running a lot quicker. Because yeah, typically when I'm running like rank tracking and stuff like that, it's as fast, if not faster, than what you would get from say like SEMrush or Ahrefs. Like it's pretty quick. Once you've got a fair amount of proxies in there. But I guarantee this is why it's being so slow right now. We've got some dead proxies right now. So, yeah.
And then for that the Moz API, do you have a plug on like a better way to get that than buying it directly from them, or do you just
It's the free version. I don't use a paid version of Moz.
okay.
It's just the free API that they provide.
Okay, and what data does that provide beyond what you're getting with everything else? It's just
Yeah,
their
let me do
Moz
one.
data.
Stop this. So basically what that's going to do for me is it's going to give me the estimated domain authority for it. That's really helpful if you've got like if you've got clients that are interested or you're trying to do like domain reporting or any kind of reporting on it, it'll pull that information back. Other than that, it's not, I could take or leave the Moz API.
Okay.
So, but that's all it is in your reports. And while this thing's reloading here, close out of that. Here we are. Yeah, with that proxy thing, it was just hanging up. So with the reporting, let me go back into here. Here. So we'll go back to website auditor. Same thing across any of the, and this is why you're going to want to have that. You're going to want to have your page speed insights, your Moz API if you want it, and any of those other like API keys readily available because you're going to pop those into just about any project. And so it's just nice to have it on your desktop, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. But what you're going to do is like if we go into this domain strength here, this is where your Moz API, like so Blue Pan Denver, we're going to go here. It's going to grab the homepage thumbnail and title. It's going to go do some domain analysis here for us, right? We're going to look at what the IP of it is, the country, the age of the domain. This, I mean, I don't know why they have this in every single one of the pieces of software, but you can see, you know, here's just this report, like whether it's on Facebook, what the backlinks to the site look like, if there's any linking domains, how many they have, different C blocks, IPs, stuff like that. One other thing on Spyglass that I would mention, this is actually really cool. Let me pop this guy up, make sure we're not pulling any client information on this one. What I like with one of the things on Spyglass that I really, really like here is that this. Okay. So here we are, we're back in Denver Pizza Company. We can do Blue Pan as well. But what I like with this particular one here is we can go into domain comparison. And this is where we can go in, we can say, okay, let's look at Blue Pan. This is actually something I will use for sales. It gives me kind of an idea of, okay, well, why is Blue Pan beating out Denver Pizza? Well, Denver Pizza may have the maps, but as far as organically, if we were to go back and look in the SERP, this is kind of what's going on. What's the estimated domain strength? Again, that's Moz. Unicorn metric doesn't really freaking matter. Here's where they're beating it out, right? Backlinks, 2,600 versus 17. Total linking domains, close. They're close on par. Different IP addresses, different C blocks. Are they using a PBN versus not? Do follow versus no follow backlinks. What's this look like? And it gives me something, you know, to kind of go off here. I'll take this graph here because this is actually a lot prettier than in the report. If we go to domain comparison, this report here is kind of it's not fantastic looking. Right now it's a blank page, but I don't know what's going on there. But when I go to domain comparison, this is really, it's just easy enough to go in here, grab a screenshot of that and say, this is why your site versus a competitor, who's winning, right? We've got this is just kind of a real quick, very quick and dirty way that clients kind of recognize this is what works for us. So, all right. Again, link intersection. This is just like your gap analysis here. It'll go in and collect the information. Here's where, project one, which is Denver Pizza versus Blue Pan, who has what. We can look at respective domains. Here's stuff that, if we're looking at Denver Pizza, here's what Blue Pan has that we don't.
Do you know what databases this pulls from? Like if you were to pull,
It's their own database.
okay.
Yeah.
Have you like compared it side by side to like, if you were to pull Moz, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Majestic and kind of
It's not
consolidate
as
them?
good. Yeah,
Okay.
the link the link portion of this isn't as good, which is why I was recommending like go to data for SEO. You're going to get a lot better, cleaner data. You can import that into this just using the import function,
Okay.
and that works just fine. If you have Majestic, if you have Ahrefs, Moz, any of that kind of stuff, again, you can download all of that, run like a $5 link analysis on Legit or Fiverr or whatever, import that data in here as long as you verify it, obviously, but you can then upload the backlink data right into this and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do there.
Okay. And does this have an index check feature or does it not display?
Actually, yeah, it does. So if we look at the backlinks, found this, and what you can also do is like whatever your linked page. So let's look at the backlink page. You can actually go in here, click on that. It'll pull up the your actual browser, and it'll show you the exact page that links to. Right. Let's right click on this. You can also set up your custom dashboards here as well. But we right click on that, page URL, linked status code.
Hmm.
There's your status code right there. Domain, cache date, if you have it, any kind of social media. So if you're looking at, it only does Facebook and Pinterest, but if you're looking at shareability, I'm seeing social signals are accounting for a lot of some really interesting things in the SERP right now. But yeah, you can go in, take a look at any of that backlink, page status code, stuff like that.
Okay, right on.
And yeah, if you wanted to, you can run an individual search on it, or you can go in here, click this, refresh all, right? So that's a 301, that's a 301 page. Right? Successful. So we can go through there and see whether or not it's in the index as a 200 like live page, or whether it's been removed, anything like that. Cool. Any final questions, guys? I know we're over time a little bit, but yeah, happy to answer any other questions that you guys may have on this. Hopefully this has been, a little enlightening. If you aren't using Powersuite, yeah, let me know.
No, this was awesome, Brian. I appreciate it.
All right.
And picked up a lot of useful stuff. I have been playing with it and using it, but not to its full potential, evidently.
Yeah, I'm happy to do some additional training on stuff like doing a deeper dive into each one of the tools. The nice thing with this is that, again, it's super flexible. So depending on the report or what your intended, what your intended audit or analysis looks like, that's really going to determine like how we set up the project. whether it's we want to, we're doing a full audit versus I just want to take a, real quick analysis over what's moving the needle for this particular client. Is it index pages? Is it backlinks? Is it, whatever? We can track that. And because we're not really limited by credits per se, I can track a bunch of different competitors in there as long as either my virtual machine can handle it or my home system. You could set up a separate laptop in at your house, right? Or a standalone machine, have it running Powersuite on that particular machine, and you're good to go, right? I personally don't like it running on my desktop. I either want to remote into something either via, cloud, like I was showing with Guacamole, or through a remote VPS. That way I can have the thing running 24/7. It's not going to affect my machine. And, if I need to go to a client or whatever, I can be like, hey, run this report real quick, go drive an hour down to, Denver, go hang out with Garen or, anyone down in Denver, and be like, all right, here we go. When I get down there, I know that the report's going to be done, that it's processed out, and we're good. All right. Cool. Unless you guys have any other questions, we'll wrap it up there and yeah, get rocking and rolling.
One last question for you, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since you've spent all this time doing training, do you have an affiliate link you'd like to give us? I'm happy to use it.
Yeah, I do. Let me drop that right in the chat, and then I'll send that out with the replay as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
So
Yeah, no,
this
you should be rewarded for your time. You spent a lot of time going over stuff. I appreciate it, man.
So that's my affiliate link with it. Their sale kicks off tomorrow. And normally what they do on their sale is it's going to be, let me just show you guys this real quick as well. Cool. So with it, you can do 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I like the enterprise version. Again, like there's a lot more to it. The difference is that like with Pro, that's really, you're not going to have the save features. You're not going to have like the full gamut of features that I was showing today. I would recommend the enterprise. It's well worth it, right? If you go this, it's 82% off of it. The one thing that you do have to be aware of with Powersuite is that yeah, they've moved away from the lifetime like single buy license to either Pro or Enterprise. This is the one that I would recommend. Enterprise all day, right there. And then from there, yeah. So for agency, unlimited projects, crawled pages, they have a bunch of other stuff. Again, Ahrefs, SEMrush, only Google. The one place that I do feel, again, like Powersuite does lack a little bit is in that link building or in the link analysis component of it. But if you have other tools and stuff like that that you can pull in links from, run a small gig on link analysis, it's just, that's fine. That works. And then also if you have it tied into Google Search Console, it's going to pull all your links directly from Search Console. We know that that's not 100% accurate, but that gives you yet another dimension to kind of look at. All right. Cool, everyone. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, Brian.
Is there a typo in the link? Yeah, maybe. Let me see here.
Great stuff, Brian.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not a problem. You're very welcome, Elias. Yeah, so that's just my short link there. But awesome. Have a good one, everyone. Take care.